Hello, welcome to an episode of the Daily Creative, the show. This is where I answer your questions on your journey to becoming a amateur, maybe even a professional creative. You're in the middle of something, you got some questions, you're like, who do I turn to? I'm your guy. I'll tell you a number at the end if you want your question answered, but right now, we're gonna do actually a live question. Was it Shane? Yeah, Shane called and left a voicemail, and his situation is detailed and nuanced enough that I thought we'd call him back and record the show live. So I've got my number queued up here on my phone for Shane's phone number. So we're gonna call Shane. He's 44 years old, got a family. His phone, the clients aren't coming in like they used to. So there you go. Just 1 second here, and all right, let's go. Shane.
Hey, this is Shane.
Shane,
yeah.
Wow, I didn't even ring. Shane, it's Chase. How are you?
Hey, Chase. It's great to finally get to talk to you.
Thanks
a lot.
How
are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good. Super good. Sunny Friday. I'm in Seattle today. What about you? Where you calling in from?
Dallas, Texas. Or a little north of Dallas, but basically
Dallas, Texas. I know Dallas, Texas. It's hot down there this time of year.
It is. It's really hot. It's sweltering.
Sweltering. Well, first and foremost, I want to say I really appreciate you calling in the show, throwing yourself out there a little bit so that other folks, so that we all can learn. I'm trying to add some value today, and I wanted to have our call be live instead of just your voicemail because I think it's nuanced and there's a lot of different stuff at play here. But I'm getting recorded on a camera right here, but I'm hoping that you can just tell me, just share your challenge, and I'll hope I can help.
Sure. One of the things that separates me from, first of all, I knew your name, but I hadn't really followed you. I don't really follow a lot of people.
Yep.
And another photographer friend of mine that kind of knows my situation says, hey, man, you should follow this guy named Chase, Jarvis. And this is a week and a half ago. And since then, I've just been neck deep, going all the way back to 2011 with your first video with Ramit, or Rami, how you say it.
Yep.
And I have learned a ton since then. Actually, a lot of my questions have been answered since then to some extent. But here's my situation.
Great.
This is a second career for me. I actually used to work at a telecommunications company and started photography when I was 36 years old. I'm 44 now. And I started out by assisting, and when I was assisting, I was doing no promoting of myself because I felt there was a conflict of interest there.
Okay.
But I would still get gigs every once in a while. And before I even went out on my own, I shot 3 national record covers, a national magazine cover, different publications and stuff like that.
Cool.
But the thing is, I went out on my own and was doing okay.
Yeah.
I know that whenever you leave your assisting jobs, you leave that money behind, and there's a ramp up to build your business.
Yep.
And so there will be a period of where you start kind of a little bit lower, and you build up your business again.
Yep.
Well, I was doing that, and my business was getting better and better and better for the last 5 or 6 years. All of a sudden, the last year and a half, business just dropped dead, almost like I was blacklisted or something.
Wow.
I'm going to be honest because I want people to learn from this.
Yep.
Is that I've shot 1 job this year.
Wow. That's
Whenever
tough.
I was shooting last year and the years before that, I was shooting 2 to 3 jobs a month.
Yeah.
The reason I mentioned my age is because a lot of the advice that you can give a younger person is take a week-long trip to Aspen and shoot something and bring it back and do a story.
Yep.
Well, I had kids by the time that I'd already started photography,
Great.
and I have a disabled mother that I take care of also. So it leaves me in a position where I don't have a lot of the opportunities that other people have.
Yep.
So my real question comes to, whenever I was watching that first video with Rami, he mentioned something, and it didn't really necessarily have to do with photography, but he says, whatever you're doing, you have to look back at your last year or two's financial situation and say, hey, has this been a hobby or has this been a career for me?
Yep.
And if I'm honest, and if you were looking at my financials from the last year or two, you would say, man, you're not making any money. You need to find a 9-to-5 until you figure out what's going on.
Got it.
Let
me jump in here.
He said that you have to find what you're really passionate about and what you're meant to do, and what that means is who would miss you if you were gone.
Yes.
If you left this business or whatever, who would be gone? And who I figured that out is my children. I'm going to explain that a little bit to you. Being a freelance photographer has allowed me to do my photography during the day. If I have an assignment, I can do my assignment, magazine or
Yep.
whatever,
Yep.
during the day, have enough time to finish, get home, pick up my kids, do my Photoshop at night,
Yep.
get the image off.
I get it.
And so I figured out that it's really my kids in that situation. Those are the people that would miss me.
I
There's
get it.
hundreds of photographers or millions of photographers out there
Yep.
that are probably as good or better than me.
Okay.
And but I don't want to leave photography if there is a future for me.
Okay,
So my
I'm going to
question
interrupt
is-
you.
Go
I'm
ahead,
going to
sorry.
interrupt you, Shane. I'm going to cut you off because I want to ask you a couple of questions. I want you to be honest.
Yes.
Do you still love it?
That's a great question.
It's just I can
yes
hear it
and
in your
no.
voice, and I think you're unsure if you love it. And so to me, that's the most important thing is like being on the show and having a cool job where you get to travel and see your kids on your schedule. And but if you don't want it because you don't like it, that's one thing. If you don't want it because you think you're not good at it, that's a completely different thing. And if you don't want it because you understand what it would take and you've decided that you'd rather focus on a different aspect of your life than the job requirements of being a professional photographer in 2017, or was it 2017? Yeah, 2017. Then I love that you're willing to put yourself out here, and I think this episode is going to be a really important one because you're not alone. That's a very important thing for you to know, is you're not alone. A, B, thank you so much for putting it out there. But now I want you to answer one of those questions in as short as possible for me, because I want you to know that my prescriptions are going to be different. And I want to give you some prescriptions on the backside of your answer. So do you
Sure,
still want
absolutely.
it? Do you still want it?
Yeah, okay, that's a good question. Yes, and I discovered what I loved is different than what I was actually shooting.
Uh-huh.
In this time that I haven't been getting assignments,
Yep.
I've been finding different things to shoot. And what I found was I have this tree in my backyard that sheds this beautiful bark. And I've been shooting art pieces of this bark, and I've had more fun shooting this bark that maybe only I like.
Yep.
But I've had more fun shooting it than any of the magazine assignments that
Okay.
I've gotten over the last 5 years.
Great.
So yes, I do still love photography. I still love shooting, but I realized I didn't love the stuff I was shooting and what I was getting assignments for.
Got it. So I'm gonna assume that you love it, but I'm gonna be a little bit prescriptive, and then you can sort of reflect on that and decide if you want to keep going or not. So it sounds to me like you're tired of shooting this stuff. The stuff is how you're making money. You don't want to do that anymore. So there's a part of you that does not want to be the old photographer that you were. And just as a reminder, therefore, you should not expect the phone to ring at the same frequency that it used to, because the world knows you don't care. The clients who are on the other end of the phone that used to call you, they know that you don't care. They can smell it. It's like this is the human to human, like, and you're also putting this out there in the world, whether you think you are actively, passively, whatever. You're telling the universe that you're not having fun, and so the universe is obliging, and it's not giving you the work. So my suggestion is, it sounds like that's not work you want to go back to. So if you want to go to something else, that's totally cool. Your work can totally evolve. Mine evolved over time. It's very common. But that brings us to so I don't want you to shoot more album covers. You don't want to do that anymore. I want you to decide if you want to be a fine art photographer and shoot pictures of bark and try and sell them for high amounts of money. And that's absolutely right. I think you could find a path through that. And if you do want to do that, I'm going to give you another piece of advice, that you should try and get a job that allows you to work on flexible hours, drive an Uber, wait tables, do something to provide some stability for the family, and then pursue with all of the extra time. And don't tell me there's no time, because you will make time for things that matter to you. If you do desire to continue to pursue photography in this new fine art world, if imagine yourself, put yourself in that space, visualize it, and if you are just so pumped and you want to get up and go shoot pictures, then I believe you should try and kick off a new career in this other space, or the second part of your photography career. And I think you should be super honest with yourself if you don't. If photography is better at this point in your life, that you're not willing to work the amount that it requires to have commercial success that would provide for a family, then that's totally okay. Do not get ensnared in the internet's love of photographs and photography and feel like you could just, if I could just X, Y, or Z, my life would be X, Y. You need to be comfortable in your skin today, and it's when you're in a natural state, the world feels good, you feel good, that's what you should shoot for. It's not going to say it's going to be easy if you do want to go back into it, but just be real honest. If you do want to go back, I think you should get a part-time job, because I don't know what your financial support is, so maybe not. If you can afford not to do that, then maybe that's not an option. And if you decide to just take pictures, take amazing photographs of your kids, have the occasional fine art show at the local coffee shop or at a gallery there in North Dallas, that is super cool, super badass. Just be really clear about what your intentions are. That's the only way that I'm going to be able to help you. That's the way the universe is going to be able to provide for you. That's the way you're going to be able to know what to do and what not to do, is if you're really honest. And what I'm hearing in your voice is that you're not sure. So step one for you is to figure out what you want to do, be, or become.
Right.
So
I completely understand that, yeah.
So let's push on this button one more time and see if we can't learn a little bit more. Knowing what I just said, or hearing what I just said, what are you feeling right now?
I like it. And as a matter of fact, I'd already started a plan similar to what you have mentioned. I mentioned before that my kids is really the part of me that I would miss, and they would miss me if they weren't gone.
Yep.
So I have already decided that in this past week that I've been studying you and studying Rami and things like that, that I'm going to take substituting teaching jobs so that, one, I can be there for my kids when they get out of school, and two, if I have a shoot or I want to go shoot, I can just not take a substituting job that day, and that's going to be my financial backup to what I want to shoot.
Shane,
so I think you're exactly right.
This. I love it. Sorry, go ahead.
So, I think that when I look back at what I've shot and I look at my portfolio, it's made me reflect and think about, that's not really what I got into photography to shoot in the first place. So, I shouldn't put more effort into that, like you said before.
Yep, definitely not. And I want you to know that's also natural. You evolve. And what I like to do is I like to start, I think this is one of the most misunderstood ideas in business, certainly in photography, but in anything when you're switching and you're pursuing a passion, that how do you transition? To me, this is the mystery that can be unlocked at CreativeLive or by paying attention to my videos or Ramit or whatever. It's the concept of transitioning. What you need to do is you need to be juggling all the balls with both hands, and then you have to figure out a way to juggle the balls with one hand and then start this other thing while you're doing your main gig. And that's very hard for people, especially with families. I understand. But, see my earlier point that if you want something bad enough, you will find a way. You get what you must have, not what you should have. That's a quote from El Luna. She's amazing. Her book, the Crossroads of Should and Must, very, very powerful book. I think you might want to check that out. But I love the decision.
So I think I will.
Yeah. I love the decision I think substitute teacher is a great way to have some income and be there for your kids and then dabble. But just if you're being pulled and with that little safety net, just remember that you're going to continue to get messages from the universe. And if substitute teaching feels good and photography starts to feel less good, just continue to ask yourself, am I loving this? There's another book I'm going to recommend right now. It's called Born for This. And that tells you, I just answered this great question. It's going to be coming out here pretty soon on my buddy Tim Ferriss's podcast or blog. And it's, how do you know when to keep banging your head against the wall or give up?
Yeah.
Okay, and there's in that book by Chris Guillebeau, who's a dear friend, you will find that it's a very simple equation. He asks you to ask yourself two questions. One, am I good at this? What was it? Help me with this now. So do I love this?
Do I still believe?
Yeah, do I still, no, am I good at this? And then, am I finding success? Am I good at this? And then the second question is, do I still believe in it? So, for example, if the answer to both those questions, yes, I'm pretty good at it, I think I can make some money, and I still believe in it, then you keep bashing your head against the concrete. If I'm good at this, but I don't believe in it, you should do a real analysis and decide that, oh my God, I think that's a sign that I'm not cut out for this. If I'm not finding success, but I still believe, keep bashing. And if I'm finding success, if I'm not finding success and I don't believe, that's just obvious, right? Then you should abort. So that's a great book for someone in your situation. I think this transition period between careers or genres in photography are some of the most misunderstood. They're hardest for creatives to get through. And that's why I want to say thank you for, sharing all those things about yourself, about your family and your mother and your age. That helps the world feel like we're not alone. And I appreciate your courage, man.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate your advice. I'm going to keep digging into your videos and learning more as much as I can. And I appreciate the advice you gave me today.
Awesome. Shane, I appreciate you. I'm going to let you go and sign off on the camera here. But thanks. I hope you have a great weekend, 4th of July here. Be safe and sane. And thanks again for being a part of the show. But I appreciate it. Good to meet you.
All right, thanks. Keep putting out good work, man. People appreciate it.
Will do, Shane. Thank you.
Bye.
Love, Shane. Like, how bold was that, right? To put himself out there, share all that stuff. And that's one of the reasons that this, A, was a longer show, B, I wanted to have a live conversation instead of just responding to his voicemail, because there's so much nuance. But in all of that nuance, there's a couple really simple things at play. One, how do you know when to keep pushing on even when shit's hard? I think you should check out the Chris Gilbo book for that. Two, that these things aren't linear. You have success and then you struggle. And if you're not constantly evolving, constantly reinventing yourself, constantly, like the market, this is not just a photographer's thing. It's not just a designer's thing. It's not just a creator's thing. The market doesn't care about anybody. It's just doing what it's doing. And you can look and it's like, wow, I don't want to have to be a social media guru and share all my photographs all the time and spend all my time on Facebook trying to make connections with new clients and friends and peers. And it's fine. No one's holding your feet to the fire but you. You have to decide for yourself if that's a thing. And the market doesn't care. You have to decide if you want to be a part of it. And you can try and influence that market by influence and stature, and you can try and help program where it's going to go. But just remember, you're a part of the whole ecosystem, and consistently evaluating your internal state is super valuable. All right, I could talk about this little subtle nitty-gritty stuff forever. I'm gonna let you go. I love this show. I hope you love your show. Please continue to spread the word. Tell us in the comments. Thumbs up. Subscriptions to the YouTube channel here make all the difference in the world. And turning on notifications. If you want your question answered, it's easy. Just 1-800-962-4357. That's help. Those last 4 letters. 802-962-4357. I answer all kinds of questions. Videos dropping every week. And you don't have to learn from just your question being asked or answered. There's a lot of other folks who are asking questions that would be valuable to you. So tune in again tomorrow. All right.